Right, so welcome to today. It's a webinar on how to really make the most of community shares and online fundraising. And the two go quite nicely together, so we wanted to speak to you about them both. There's myself, Lauren Swain from Local Giving, and I run their Wales programme. And then there's Hannah, who will tell you more about community shares as well when I hand over to her in a second. So we're going to really talk about how you can succeed in both of those income options. Obviously, it's really good to have income that's sustainable, and this might be a new income stream, you know, either both or one of these may be a new income stream for you. So it's well worth looking into that and becoming acquainted with them. We've both got examples of what that can look like, and we're going to fully tell you how you can access these opportunities and really make the most of those funding options to help you towards, you know, what really is quite an exciting thing that you might have planned or that you're hoping to do. So I'm going to hand over to Hannah first, and she's going to let you know everything that she can about the community shares offer. Over to you, Hannah.
Thanks, Lauren. Hi, everyone. For those who I haven't met before, my name's Hannah. I'm from the Wales Co-op, as it used to be called, now CWMPAS. I like to say that because lots of people get a bit like, oh, CWMPAS, are they new? But no, the Wales Cooperative Centre, been in existence since 1982. Our current community shares programme is currently funded by the lottery until September 23. We've been running for 2 years. We've got 1 year left on this current stream. We cover the whole of Wales, so nowhere's exempt from support. And the main aim of our programme is creating a resilient community shares sector. Basically, that just means that we would like the community shares sector to be able to be, you know, self-sufficient, to support each other and keep growing. And we do that in a number of ways, but particularly by developing networks and offering peer-to-peer support to our projects. Lauren's going to send through a copy of the recording. I've just seen that in the chat. And I'm happy if Lauren wants to share this presentation with everyone as well. Happy for that. So probably what most of you are thinking first is, what on earth are community shares? And community shares are basically a type of crowdfunding. Unlike the crowdfunding that you might do, say, through a platform like Crowdfunder or Local Giving, the difference is that when you buy when you make that donation, normally you don't get anything from it. What a community share is, it's an investment in an organisation, which means when you buy a share or when you invest, you actually get a part of the ownership of that organisation as well. It's a fundraising initiative that builds stronger, more vibrant and independent communities. And the most probably traditional idea of a community share offer would be, probably you see in the newspaper sometimes, where a small village has lost all its amenities, its services, and the community have come together to buy something such as the local pub. But it can be used for pretty much anything. It can be for services or community assets like community centres, pubs, shops, or it can be, as you'll see in some later slides, about funding new organisations. There's probably local food growing projects. It's a whole host of things. It's a very, very flexible form of income. Next slide, please, Lauren. So how do they work? So basically, the community invests by buying a share. The organisation will dictate the price of that share, and it's completely up to them. There's no minimum price. But there is a maximum investment of £100,000. As yet, you probably guessed, nobody has actually in Wales that I'm aware of invested that level of money. It's normally much smaller amounts of money. Often the minimum level that a community would ask for would be something like £50 or £100. They sometimes go higher, but on the whole, it's about between £50 and £100. When you buy that share, regardless of how much your investment was, it's a really democratic process, and that share gives you one vote. And it's based on a one member, one vote, not like what you might see in the corporate world, where your investment is equal to the amount of control in the company. This is basically one member, one vote. So if you invest £50 or you invest £10,000, your voting power is exactly the same. It is possible depending on what your business model is, that you can offer people a return on investment. This is normally through interest on shares. But as you may have guessed, if somebody's investing £50 and you've got a business model that allows them to pay 2% interest, it's not life-changing sums of money. And those investments are limited to make sure that community benefit over everything else is the primary role. You don't have to pay interest, but sometimes it does help to acknowledge the risk that people are giving with their money to actually make that investment. Just a little bit of fact for you there. Research has shown over the last 5 years that 92% of businesses that have undertaken a community share offer are still trading 5 years later, which is very, very high and shows what a really resilient business model it actually is. Next slide, please, Lauren. So the key components of a community share offer. To do a community share offer, there's a couple of things you will need to do. Firstly, an organisation must have some form of trading income. Basically, community shares are withdrawable shares, which means that in some time in the future, if somebody desires, they can ask for that share to be withdrawn from the society, and therefore the organisation needs to have money available to actually repay that share. There's a couple of caveats on that, in that the board get to decide whether that's possible or not. And if it's not possible because there's not enough money around, then they do have the right to reserve a no to the ask of the withdrawal. You dictate how long it is before you stipulate that somebody can ask for that share to be withdrawn. Normally it's about 3 to 5 years that somebody will keep their investment in, but there's no actual time frame on that. It totally depends on what your business or what your organisation needs. So as I said, there's some key components for a community share offer. Obviously, it's called a community share offer, so primarily the main impetus in a community share offer is that engagement with its local community, with its community of interest, and really harnessing the power of those people around who either use the service, feel passionate about the service, have an interest in it, that you can go to and ask for them to invest in this model. You also need a legal structure. There's a particular legal structure you need to have, and that is a society. A registered society is the only organisation that can do a community share offer. If you're not a a registered society, there are ways that you can convert, or you can set up a link society if you've already got an organisation. But essentially, the one that does the community share offer has to be a registered society. The registered society is actually not under the Charity Commission or Companies House. They're actually with the FCA, and it's that registration with the FCA that allows a community share offer to happen. You also need a business plan. Obviously, nobody is going to invest in an offer without seeing some real good business plans and some real good, sound, solid financial predictions. So we work to support people with putting together their business plans, showing that the share offer is viable as a business, everything makes sense, all the assumptions are tried and tested, and it's as accurate as it possibly can be and as honest as it possibly can be. On top of that, you need a share offer document. This is a document that goes out into the community and is like basically a watered down version of the business plan. It tells people the vision, tells people, the basics that they will need without going into the depths of the business plan. Most people on the whole, if you've engaged them, from what we found and experience, the share offer document just tends to be something they have a quick flick through. But generally, if you've engaged people, we find that a lot of our societies will come to us and, oh my God, we found that, hardly anybody has read the share offer document. And we're like, that's fine, because that's your community engagement working. But it's really important that those documents are there so people have got something to fall back on. They know what your predictions are. They know what the finances are. They know what your organisation's about. So you're being as honest and transparent as you can. One of the things to say about community share offers is that they are actually, they sit outside any sort of regulation from the FCA, and that means that any money that's invested is actually at risk. So it's really important that organisations tell people to invest only what they can afford to lose, just in case. As yet, we haven't had any organisations that have actually fallen foul of that. And we think that's because people are following what our advice, our support really well. The business planning is thorough, the share offer documents are thorough, and people are well informed before they make their investments. And also the organisations are doing all their work to ensure that their business is as sound as it possibly can be. Next slide, please, Lauren. Okay, community shares are quite niche and they're quite technical. So for a shorter version of what I've just said, I thought it would be a good idea to give you some examples of share offers that have been successful throughout Wales. This first one is Carramore, and this is off the coast of Pembrokeshire, and this is a community-owned seaweed farm. They decided to do a community share offer basically because they were really, really struggling to finance the business. They were a brand new business, they had no trading history, and obviously to set up something like a seaweed farm requires quite a lot of upfront capital. Because of this struggle for getting loans and grant funding, because of the lack of a trading history, they decided to launch to their community, to family, friends, and a pioneer share offer. And this was November 2020. So they begged people for Christmas to buy shares. They decided that they were going to really work really hard between November and February to see if they could raise a minimum of £50,000. As you can see, they exceeded that, and they've in total raised £94,000 from 90 shareholders. This was quite a unique shareholder community share investment, as their minimum investment was high, and they did this from their research with their community that they felt people at that time could afford to invest a minimum of £1,000 against our kind of guidance that we were like, oh, that's really high. You might want to reduce that to get a bit more money. They were confident that they had enough people that were going to raise that, and they were right, they did. So this is an example of, if there isn't a fund for you currently to go to, or if you're struggling to get finance to set up a new organisation, community shares can work really well to get that off the ground, to get your trading history, to then draw in the funding from grants, and it can be really, really effective. Next one, please, Lauren. Okay, the next one is a community shop. This is quite a recent one. Their share offer has just ended, well, it ended at the end of August. And this is for a community-owned hardware shop. A community shop in a village is quite a traditional model of community shares, but never before have there been, in fact, throughout the whole of the UK, a community-owned hardware store. This is in the touristy town of Newport, again in Pembrokeshire. And this share offer was set up to save the store because they were really, really nervous of a developer getting hold of the building and converting into further second homes or tourist attractions. They were really, really adamant that this was a community facility that needed to be saved for the people who lived in Newport, 365 days a year. So they launched their share offer in June 22. They asked for £200 a share. And as you can see there, they were phenomenally successful, and they've raised over £400,000. They're about to sign for the shop on Friday. This is very exciting. You can see in there I've written that they've awarded the standard mark. The standard mark is just an award of best practice to say that your share offer information meets best practice. It's not to say that you're going to be successful, that you're going to raise the money or the business is going to be successful. It's just that your share offer is telling everybody what they need to know, and it's quite rigorous, so you can really be confident that what you're reading is a good basis for that share offer. All their assumptions have been tried and tested and are stacked up. Next slide, please, Lauren. So they've said community shares are a really good way of not only raising money but also drawing in other money. For every £1 invested in community shares, it does say £118 there, but fresh off the press at 11:30. My colleague has just done some really recent investment, and actually on our current project, it's not £1.18, it's actually £1.49. So it's showing that groups are really, really able to draw in and lever in other grants and institutional investment loans. Once you've got that money, it shows that you know, people believe in you, the community's behind you, you've got a really solid foundation of a business, your business plans are all set up, and it just enables you to draw in additional money. What we found compared to the rest of the UK is that in Wales, our share offers, our societies have generally a higher membership, and that's usually because most of our investments are just people invest in the minimum. We're unfortunately in Wales a little bit disadvantaged by not having the same amounts of money available for community shares as there are in England. There is a possibility, depending on what kind of investment you're looking for people, that people can lever in additional tax relief as well, which can help people to persuade them to, you know, invest a little bit more. And also things like community share offers, they fit really well with Social Investment Cymru from the WCVA, as well as the larger Community Ownership Fund from UK Government. So they can help really to draw in additional funds. Next slide, please. And then just a little bit of information from our project. Since the project was launched in October 2020, we have worked to raise 1.5 million from community shares. We've had a real lot of investment over the last 6 months. And when we've looked at what people, or why people invest in the projects, not really, financing doesn't really come up highly on the list. The majority of people invest because of the wider social benefits. They invest because they believe in the project, or they believe that they want to use the pub, they're really passionate about the area or the cause, and that's their main motivation into buying the community share offer. The idea of having a bit of tax relief or a bit of interest sometimes might encourage somebody to invest more, but it's not normally the deciding factor of whether they invest at all. Next slide, please, Lauren. The support you can have from us. We've got some really good resources on our website. Feel free to go over and have a look. We offer peer-to-peer support. Basically, if you're doing a project and there's somebody else who's done that similarly to you, we can work with them to do some peer-to-peer support mentoring. We have actually got a budget to pay for people's time to give you the right support that you might need. Also, if there's something niche, because obviously community shares can be quite technical, if there's something particular that you need, financial advice, legal advice, we do have a budget to go towards that as well. We spend lots of time scoping out if community shares is right for you, because we're passionate that it's a good model, but it's not always the best model for everybody. We provide advice and guidance throughout the process. So from the moment you think, oh, could we explore this option, right through to post-share offer and continuing to work with you. We do at the moment have budget available to pay for most registrations and incorporations. Don't know whether everybody knows this, but if you register with the FCA, it's a lot more expensive than Companies House or obviously the Charities Commission, which is free. So if there is an element of a job being created, or if there's some community benefit, at the moment we've paid for every single one. We say case by case, but we're yet to find one that we haven't paid for. And we can also provide the standard mark assessments that I was talking about earlier. Next slide, please, Lauren. In case you were wondering about community shares and what kind of organisations have done community share offers, we've got this little map on our website, which can be really, really useful just to have a look at who's done community share offers, where have they done, what kind of projects have been set up, and where in Wales they are. And we'll put a link through to this for you if anybody is interested to have a look. It also tells you where there's some practitioners as well, so people who are available to help as well. Next slide, please.
So I've added in the contact details and the link to find out more information to the end of the slides. And yeah, as Hannah mentioned, I will make sure that everyone attending here has both a copy of the slides and the recording of the slides as well. So to tell you
Brilliant.
a little bit. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
no,
anything you want to say to finish up, Hannah?
No, that's fine. Go on.
Fab. So local giving, we ourselves are a UK-wide organisation. We're a charity ourselves, we're a not-for-profit, but I run the Wales programme that Local Giving began in 2016. I've been here since the 2016 start point, and our focus is really helping organisations with online fundraising, which essentially is crowdfunding. So that might be something that you're interested in itself. It might be something that you've already signed up to and want to do more of. It might be something that you would like to do alongside a community shares offer. Either way, it goes hand in hand very nicely with, you might be asking individuals to sign up to a share with your organisation. Maybe they haven't got the full amount. Maybe they just want to give a smaller donation and then walk away, not being so involved. If that's the case, running a crowdfund campaign alongside a crowd share offer can work really nicely just to help you get that extra bit of income, and it can be really flexible income that you raise for this as well. So it might just plug the holes that you need that haven't been fully covered by the shares, or any unexpected costs that come up along the way as well. So a bit about local giving as a whole first. So we do support organisations all across the UK. They can be registered charities, or they can be any other type of not-for-profit. We also work with a lot of CICs, for example. Part of that is that we're able to give all of our members gift aid. So those that aren't registered charities like CICs, that does mean that they can access gift aid potentially for the first time, which immediately gives you a boost in terms of your income. And then we're really there as an online fundraising platform. So organisations can sign up to us, they can have a donation page, and we can facilitate them receiving donations online really easily. It can fit in really naturally with whatever you're already doing in terms of social media, or if you've got a website, then you can have a donate button on that links directly through to this as well. So that's what local giving is UK-wide. UK-wide, we also distribute a number of grants throughout the year. We distributed around 5 grants this year. Some of those are small £500 grants, others are larger 10 grand grants. But if you're subscribed to our newsletter or you're part of the Wales programme, you will hear about those every time that they're open. All of our grants are closed at the moment, but we're anticipating launching some more in the spring. So watch that space. We do also offer incentives and prizes throughout the year as well. For example, every April we run Local Hero, which allows you to ask people to do fundraisers for you, and they can unlock financial prizes too. So as a UK-wide organisation, we help organisations with their fundraising and make it as easy as possible for them to get started with that. It is well worth you looking into as an income stream. Online fundraising essentially refers to any donation that's made through the internet, but a quarter of donations in the UK are made online. That figure, has increased massively across the pandemic, and donations online are naturally bigger than those made offline as well. Particularly as cash donations have been something that organisations have had to really move away from. It is well worth you having the means for someone to donate to you online, and hopefully that's something you've already got in place. On the right here is an example of what a donation page might look like, in terms of you can say a little bit about your organisation, have images, sum that up, and give donation examples as well. These are quite high donation examples. A lot of organisations might say £5, £10, £20, and give examples of what those amounts go towards as well. Any individual can then donate to you through that page. They can sign up for a monthly donation, or they can sign up to do a fundraiser for you. And there is the means for you to change all of these into Welsh as well. So any of our members can have a donation page that's in Welsh, where someone can go through the entire donation process in Welsh as well. And you can share a link to your donation page, both in English and in Welsh, to make that as accessible as possible. What we really work with organisations with then, and what the Wales programme really focuses on, which I'll talk a lot more about in a minute, is what we call appeal pages. Now they would be called crowdfund pages, they might be called campaign pages elsewhere, but essentially it's a page that really sums up a specific ask. So you maybe have a project, or a set of costs to keep running over the winter, or equipment you need, absolutely anything that you can put a figure on. That works really well for an appeal page, and it's an ask that's really timely. It's an ask that's saying, we really need this over the coming months, and it's really focused fundraising. You can choose the time and the amount. You can edit them along the way. Typically for a first appeal, we encourage you to raise anything between £500 and £5,000. And that's really because you'll learn a lot as you're going with your first appeal too. If you need a couple of weeks more, you know, you can play around with the amount of time you're giving yourself as well. You can have a nice video that sums up what it is that you're fundraising for. And this page will have its own link. You can really share and encourage people to donate to that very specific ask that you're in there as well. This is an example fundraiser page. So just like any other platform, any individual can create a fundraiser page and help you raise some money. Then come up with their own challenge. You can suggest challenges, group, whatever that is, and then everything they're raising going into your bank account as well. You can link fundraisers and appeal pages too. So it might be that, for example, you're aiming to raise £3,000 through an appeal, but £1,000 of that you're aiming to raise through a couple of people doing some fundraisers. If they're linked, then everything they're raising on the fundraiser page will automatically go towards your target on the appeal page. So it can really, you know, bring together everything that you're doing at that particular time. So the Wales programme then, so in Wales, you have more financial benefits and support benefits than anyone else in the UK. So I'm based in Cardiff myself, but I support organisations all across Wales. Very much been to work with organisations wherever they're based across Wales, and obviously now a lot of that support is online as well. The Wales programme then really makes it even easier to give online fundraising a go, because you can access one-to-one support and training. In the first instance, there'll be a training video that's sent to you when you sign up that really helps you see where to get started with online fundraising, how best to succeed, how to raise awareness of your work and promote your fundraising. And then from that support, you can access as much one-to-one help as you need. For some organisations, that they maybe want me to look over an appeal page and discuss how to make an appeal work ahead of running it. Other organisations, they might just hit the ground running, and then a few weeks in, have a chat about how it's going, or you know, how they need to reach more donors if that's what they need to do. So far, we've helped organisations raise £2.1 million through the Wales programme, and over half those organisations had never done online fundraising before. So it's really money that they wouldn't have seen if they hadn't given this a go. The main difference with the Wales programme, other than the support you can access, is the match funding that we offer. So with those appeal pages, if you raise £1,750 through an appeal, then we'll give you £250 in match funding. As soon as you've raised that amount, you receive that money. You can obviously raise more than that, that's fine. You can see in this previous example here, that's exactly what this group was trying to do. They're trying to raise the 1,750 to unlock their 250 match funding. You can then, as I say, go on to raise more beyond that. You can raise that across multiple appeals. You know, it might be that you're more comfortable raising smaller amounts. You know, really whatever works for you, and you have a year from the point of signing up to the Wales programme to unlock that match funding. But most organisations do it comfortably in the first 6 months, if not the very first appeal that they do as well. And as I say, fundraisers can be linked to appeals and help you towards that. So that's the real benefit. You can make it as easy as possible for to ask for donations. Then, you know, you can let people know you've got this free money that they can help you unlock. It can help you maintain momentum. You know, partway through your appeal, you can say, "Oh, another 200 quid, and we'll get this free bit of money." It just makes it as easy as possible for you to ask people to donate in the first place, and to keep reminding them to donate as you go as well. And you can still access all of the grants and other bits of money that Local Giving gives away across the year as well. To sign up to Local Giving as a whole, and the Wales programme too, there's a very basic criteria, which is that you need to be a not-for-profit yourself, and you need to have a bank account in the name of your organisation. If you are a registered charity, it's really quick to sign up, because we can pull the information we need from the Charity Commission. If you're not a registered charity, we need a couple of extra documents from you, such as a governing document and your latest set of accounts and things like that. But we can support you around that if you're not sure what to provide. The link to sign up is the last slide there, but it was in that slide as well. But you also get access to a whole bunch of resources. One of these is well, a whole bunch of them are bilingual resources, including one-page resources to do, you know, say you want to focus on monthly donors, there's a bilingual resource to help you with that. There's also this online fundraising guidebook that can be accessed by anyone, a local giving member or not, through this link here. But that's something we developed in collaboration with the CVC network across Wales. It really takes you through step by step in terms of planning and running successful online fundraising. We tried and tested it with a number of organisations across the weeks, with Pavo in Pembrokeshire, in Powys, and together, we were able to make this into a document that's really useful and really tangible in terms of getting started there. When you log into your local giving account, if you're a member, this is what it looks like. You can easily apply for any grants that we have open through the My Grants section. You can create any donation pages through the My Pages section and download any donations and contact information that you've got permissions for easily through that as well. So yeah, watch this space for the My Grant. As I said, there aren't any live at the moment, but that's what it will look like there. Since the Wales programme started in 2016, currently working with around 490 organisations across every county in Wales. A lot of those are mainly small and medium-sized organisations. They might be organisations that have a fundraising member of staff, or members of staff that's doing heaps of things, one of which is fundraising, or volunteers who maybe have never done fundraising before. We can really help you with the whole spectrum there as well. And yeah, just like the community shares program, we've got organisations all across the different counties of Wales there, and the output has been really good in terms of we've really helped organisations to run their first appeal, and then they've gone from strength to strength and built their confidence that it's worth their time. Their trusts and committees have been able to see, right, this is worth us putting some time into, and potentially some resources into really focusing on fundraising online there as well. So if this is something that interests you, obviously you can sign up to Local Giving. It's completely free to sign up as a Wales member, so do make the most of that. It's also free to sign up if you apply for any of our grants. You get a free membership through that. So if you're just interested in a grant or you're interested in the online fundraising, it's free to sign up in doing that. But yeah, the first step is to create that online donation page and really start thinking about what you want to do for your first appeal then. As you said, you can embed a donate button to a website, do things like prepare thank you templates to have those thank you messages ready. They got automatic thank yous anyway, each donor, but they can get personalised ones from you too. And then really making the most of the match funding and the training opportunities that you'll then be offered. One example of an organisation that has is a current member of the Wales programme. So ACE, they're based in a very deprived area, and they're essentially a community centre, and they were very uncomfortable about asking about individuals to support their organisation. So they came up with a few appeals that were really tangible and really relatable for their community. So they've run appeals to support fuel poverty, to fund a defibrillator in the community, to raise money for young people to afford to go to their prom by funding outfits and things and tickets and things like that. In COVID-19, they did appeals for food parcels and running a support helpline, mental health and financial support as well. So they really started from not having done any online fundraising at all, so now they've raised well over 20 grand through Local Giving, has then allowed them to invest in a part-time fundraising post as well, which will then go on to help them raise more and more. So that's an idea of how organisation can go from no fundraiser to really seeing this as a regular income for them. If this is something that you're interested in, then that's the link that you can sign up for your free Wales membership, the match funding. As soon as you sign up, that comes to me anyway, and I can support you from that point. There is a promo code there you can enter, but even if you don't enter that, you'll still get the free year, so don't worry too much about that, and I can support you from that point. So you've just heard then about community shares and how you can really benefit from that, how it's something that can really create something very exciting for your community, and you've just heard about online fundraising and how you can probably see now how those go really nicely hand in hand. Perhaps you're raising community shares, and then alongside that you're running an appeal for part of that, or maybe you've opened up your community asset after having done the community shares and you want to do some crowdfunding to maybe say get some events started, some less kind of tangible, you know, you're not paying for developing the building maybe as the shares are covered, but you're paying for getting some community activities started through the crowdfunding there as well. So the two can go hand in hand. Mine and Hannah's contact details are both there. Please do get in touch with any questions that you have. We'll be really happy to answer those. This is the link for signing up to Local Giving, and this is the link for finding out more about community shares there as well. But equally, if you go back to your you know, committees, your boards, your colleagues, and they have any questions, then please do get in touch, and we can support you from that point as well.